What's going on, you guys? I am back and coming to y'all with yet another knife review. Now, this one is on a Gerber. And Gerber is a company that I have a lot of history with. I have historically reviewed many Gerber knives as being better than believed by the public. I've long-standing been a fan of the Gerber company and believe that Gerbers were perfectly adequate for the majority of everyone's EDC rotations, especially because they were usually very low to the ground in terms of price. Gerber products that have not reviewed well on my channel, one of them that comes to mind immediately is the Volatin, because it was a absolute piece of crap for way too much money. It was like $45 for what was essentially a 420 steel performing blade, tons of blade play, and spring assist issues where the springs would break. And on the other end of that, I've defended knives like the Gerber Paraframe and the Gerber Evo as being fantastic sub-$20 EDC blades for the average Joe. So where does the Gerber Highbrow Compact sit? Well, if you don't have time to watch the whole review, it's gonna lean more towards the Volatin side than the Paraframe side. Let's go ahead and jump into this, starting with the packaging. Very minimal. Brown box, Gerber logo. Some general write-up. Contains one knife. Designed and engineered in Oregon, but made in China. Your address, your barcode. Nothing crazy going on there. And on the bottom we can see Highbrow Compact Gray. I bought this knife from Walmart, and I handled literally every single one they had behind the case to ensure I got the best one for review. And the reason why that's going to be embarrassing will become evident when I get to deployment and lockup. But let's go ahead and start with the blade. We have a 2.8-inch drop point blade made out of 7CR 17 MOV with a mid-blade hollow grind and a beautiful stone-washed finish. One thing I'm going to say positively is I love that relief edge. It makes this knife such a dream to sharpen, and whoo, does it get sharp. Now, 7CR 17 MOV, will it hold that edge for very long? Not particularly. It's a Chinese 440A. I've long defended that 440A is fine for the average Joe's everyday carry needs. It sharpens super easily. It takes a wicked fine edge. It holds it not amazingly, but not terribly. You know, for what the average person's using it for, it's going to hold an edge for a very long time. For non-knife nuts who aren't purposely putting their knives through a lot of work. And this blade actually slices pretty decently. Not amazingly. You know, I'm not going to say this thing slices super great because it's not a super thick blade, but a little thicker than it needed to be. But it slices pretty well. So, what are the problems? Well, with the blade itself, honestly, not too much. Aside from the fact that for $40, which is what this thing sells for, no, and that's not MSRP, that is actual market value, for $40, guys, at that point, we can do too much better than 7CR17 for me to endorse it. I don't mind 7CR or 440A in a cheaper knife. I really don't. If this was half the price, I wouldn't complain about the steel at all. But at $40, there are too many better options out there. I mean, this thing's going to get dwarfed by an 8CR 13 MOV blade. It just is. So even at the $20 price range, there are better performing steels. It's going to get beat by, Senran Mu's Sandvik 12C27. It's going to get beat by Buck's 420 high carbon. It's going to get beat by pretty much anything from Sencut or Savivi, which are in direct competition with this knife at this point. So the 7CR17 steel at $40, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make the cut. It's just not excusable at this price point. Now, the deployment and lockup, which is where things really begin to get shaky for this knife, deployment, it's actually not too bad. It is a spring-assisted knife. It comes out okay, reasonably fast. Not super lightning fast, but not too bad. My issue with deployment comes from this stupid freaking safety lock that engages itself very often and keeps the knife from opening. So we have to pull that back and then deploy the knife, and sometimes it re-engages like you just saw there. So pull it back again, it engaged again, pull it back again, and now I got the blade open. That literally all happened without me trying to make it happen, and that is the infuriating part about carrying and using this freaking knife, is that stupid safety feature engages on its own. Now, I don't like the safety feature like auto locks on some of the older CRKT knives. I didn't like the safety features on the SOG Twitch, the SOG Flash, the SOG Aegis, the SOG Trident. And in most cases, those were better off either removed or super glued down. And that's what I recommend you do to this, is either remove it or super glue it down, because it is obnoxious and it just gets in the way. It doesn't stop the blade from closing either. If you engage that lock while the blade is open, it does nothing to keep the blade from closing. So it's just a one-way safety feature to keep it from accidentally deploying in your pocket, which I have literally never had happen on any knife ever. Except, no, maybe one or two with extremely weak with extremely weak detents. The lockup is the other issue on this. So we're using this, what I'm always going to call an Axis-style lock. I know the technical term now is like crossbar lock, but guys, to me, I'm sorry, this is an Axis lock, and it always will be an Axis lock. Which is fine. I like Axis lock knives. I think they're perfectly adequate. We do lose a little bit of the fun of an Axis lock knife with this being spring-assisted, because we can't pull that back and throw the blade open. But overall, it's fine as a locking mechanism. So what's the problem? And keep in mind, I handled literally every single one of these they had behind the case, which is about 9 knives. This one had the best lockup. Side to side, solid, no play. Which is great, because in order to access that pivot point, we have to take these freaking scales off. Up and down. Don't know if you can hear it, but I can feel it. There is up and down blade play. There is lock rock. And this was the best one out of all the ones they had. This has the least. They all had vertical blade play. This one just has the least amount of it. Now, does that make a huge difference? Honestly, probably not. Not unless you're really abusing your knife. But again, for $40, we can and should and do expect more out of a knife at this point, because we can get more. We can do better. So, in my opinion, having that vertical blade play is just unacceptable. So far we have a subpar steel for the price point, a subpar lockup for the price point, and an infuriating safety mechanism, which makes the knife a pain in the ass to deploy. What more could go wrong? Well, I'm glad you asked, because look at the girth on this handle. Now, I'm a guy who likes having an EDC knife slip into my pocket and disappear completely. That is not going to happen with this chunk of an aluminum and stainless steel handle. This thing is absolutely thick. To bring in a Civivi Elementum by way of comparison, that is how thick it is. To bring in a Kaiser Infinity for way of comparison, that is how thick it is. To bring in a Sanren Mu Model 710 by way of comparison, that is how thick it is. This thing is a chunk, which means it's not going to disappear in your pocket. It's just not. You're going to know you have it on you, especially at the weight of 4.4 ounces, which is hefty for a 2.8-inch blade. Now, there is an upside to this super chunky handle, and that is, it's pretty comfy in the hand. You know, you get this thing in your hand, you start working with it, oh, it fills the hand nicely, and I don't really have any hot spots with it. So there's a pro to go with that con. But for me, the con outweighs that pro. It's just too damn thick. Okay, THICC, it is thick. Or whatever the slang is these days. I honestly try to keep up, and I'm kind of embarrassing myself, I'm sure. But it's a very chunky handle, and I don't like that. You know, I want a knife that slips in and disappears, and you feel this thing all freaking day. So we have that issue added onto the knife. The handle itself, by the way, 4.1 inches long, made out of aluminum. I love aluminum handled knives, so I have no problem with the handle material. I do have issue with this. The pocket clip. Not the way it carries. I'll actually show you how it carries. I think that the way it carries is pretty much perfect for me. I like having about that much knife exposed in the pocket. I like the flush mounted screws. Many of you probably don't, but for me, I love the way this carries in pocket. It isn't the tension on the clip. I think the tension on the clip is very strong and very serviceable. It's the angle the clip takes on the handle. So whenever we look at it from this side, you can see it's actually, you see that? The clearance between the handle scale and that pocket clip? Can you see it? Put my finger back there. Yeah, you can see it. It sits at such an awkward angle that it just doesn't actually make full contact with the handle scale. And for some reason, that continues to bug me, even though it's probably not a functional issue. It shows they put very little thought into designing a proper pocket clip placement for this knife. It feels very tacked on. Made even worse with the fact that our lanyard hole, which by the way is relatively small, you could probably squeeze some gutted 550 through there. I doubt you could squeeze full 550 through it. is placed below the screw mount of the pocket clip, meaning the base of your lanyard, if you attach one, is going to be buried in the pocket with the rest of the knife. So a lanyard extraction isn't really super plausible with this. So that's yet another issue to discuss with the knife. I didn't really look inside to see the liners, but you can see they are not milled and not scaletonized in pretty much any way. Oh no, there's a tiny bit. They put 2 holes down there. You got 2 holes to lose weight. Not great, guys. It's just not great. For $40? I mean, what were all those issues again? The safety engages itself often. The blade steel is subpar for the price point. The lockup is subpar for the price point. It's super thick and chunky. The clip doesn't really make proper contact. And the lanyard hole is a little bit buried in the pocket if you try to attach a lanyard to it, along with being slightly small. You can reverse that clip to the left-hand side, which is a benefit. It does mean this knife is ambidextrous, because it is a flipper design. And axis-type locks are very ambi-friendly, so it has that going for it. But very, very little else. Whew. What about competitive options? I'm going to show you guys some. And the first one I want to bring in here is this Kershaw. This is another knife that is spring-assisted, sold at Walmart, this one being $10. And its only flaw is its blade steel sucks. And I mean, you know, as in worse than 7CR17. I think, again, 7CR17 is fine as a budget steel for an EDC blade, but this goes a little bit beyond that, which is a shame because otherwise this knife is a 10 out of 10. Okay, this is the Kershaw, I think it's either the Hot line or the Hot Wire, model 1310WM, 3CR13 MOV blade, 2.2 ounces or something like that, very lightweight, super nice flipper design, comes out readily, locks up tight, very ergonomic in hand, nice grippy FRN handle, great pocket clip, also reversible to the other side. $10. Yeah, the steel sucks, even by comparison to this. But $10, guys. You can buy 4 of them for the price of one Highbrow compact. What about some flipper design knives? All right, here's another one you can get at Walmart. This is going to be a fun comparison to bring in here. This is an Ozark Trail. Bought this for $8. Okay, I don't even know the model number on it. Warncliffe blade, spring assist, frame lock design, deep carry, loop over pocket clip, nice big lanyard hole. Blade steel on this, still testing it, but so far I'm guesstimating it's somewhere between a 3CR13 and a 5CR15, which is to say lower than the Gerber, but $8 on that price point. Locks up super solid. I do have issues with this lock bar sticking sometimes, but for $8 I could do worse. Decent centering on that knife. I mean, if you're at Walmart looking for a cheap beater, this does come up as an option against the Gerber Highbrow Compact. This is built better. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is a better built knife than this. But you can get like 4, almost 5 of these for the same price. So it's worth mentioning. How about some more knives while you're at Walmart? Camillus Cuda Mini, the Walmart version. Yet again, worse steel. I'm not going to lie to you guys. $420 on this one. The standard version has 8CR13, but this Walmart version has $420. Zytel handle on this one, or glass-filled nylon. The standard version has G10, but comes out fast, locks up very tight, and I've carried this for years. Loop over tip down carry clip, $20. You can get 2 of them for the price of one Highbrow compact. And one more Walmart competitive option, the one that I've been EDCing a lot lately, the Buck Trekker XLT. 420 high carbon steel blade, aluminum handles, loop over deep carry pocket clip, liner lock design. Price point at Walmart $35, on the Walmart website $18. Okay, better performing steel than this. The Buck's 420 HC performs better than Gerber 7CR17. Just does. So those are your Walmart competitive options. But what about if you're looking for a flipper knife for around the same $40, maybe $50 price point? Well, boy, do we have some knives for you. First of all, Civivi Elementum. Now, this one's in Damascus, but you can get the D2 version for about $50, so about $10 more than the Highbrow Compact. The D2 is going to well outperform the 7CR17. The standard version of this knife is going to have either G10 or micarta handle scales, liner lock design, ball bearing pivot points, flipper tang, deployment. Loop over deep carry clip. Fantastic blade for the money. I've done a review on this. Absolutely a worthy competitive option that I would pick over the Gerber. Here's another one, the Sun Cut Scepter, 9CR 18MOV blade. Yet again, blows this out of the water in performance. Your choice of micarta or G10 handle scales, liner lock design, loop over deep carry clip that is reversible to both sides. Comes out super fast, locks up great. It wasn't the best deployment on that, but it does come out very quickly. Ball bearings in that pivot point as well. Price about $42. Yeah, I'd pick this all day over this. And last but certainly not least is the Kaiser Vanguard Infinity N690 steel, beautiful Celtic leaf-shaped blade, black micarta handle scales, liner lock design, loop over deep carry clip, ball bearing pivot with just the most drop shut action I've ever witnessed on a folding knife. Yeah, price point's closer to $60 on this one, but if you're looking for a great flipper knife, this is going to have it in spades by comparison to the Gerber. So that's been my review on the Gerber Highbrow Compact. Is it a good knife? No. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. It's really not. If this knife was $20, I'd give it 6 out of 10. Okay, if it was half the price, it would get a 6 out of 10. But at $40 with all these problems, it's an absolute failure in my mind. Like, this is at best a 2 or 3 out of 10 for your hard-earned money. It's just not a super great performing blade. You can get much better for quite a bit less, or much better for only a little bit more. So, my opinion, my recommendation for the Highbrow Compact, stay away. This one is a fail for Gerber. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, peace, and I will see you later. Take care.